This episode of I've Had It is brought to you by Booking.com. Since 2010, they've helped over 1.8 billion vacation rental guests find places to stay. That's billion with a B. Head over to Booking.com and start your listing today. Get seen, get booked on Booking.com. So are we supposed to start the podcast?
Okay, listener, we are in New York City with a guest, and you know how we always start the podcast, and Pumps and I have been going back and forth about it. When she acts like a eagle,
right,
and says "fuck off," sometimes we feel stupid about it. But you know what? It's Trump's America. Trump's giving blowjobs to Bubba. So here we go: patriots, gay triots, they triots, black triots, brown triots, and the people who try to marginalize those people can do what? Pumps?
Fuck off!
You guys, we have a big time guest in the big city.
We are so excited.
It is Joyanne Reid. She is a New York Times bestselling author, documentary film producer, and former MSNBC anchor who in 2020 became the first Black woman to host a primetime news show. She is currently the proprietor of the Joy's House Substack and the host of the Joy Reid Show in an effort to make us look cooler because we have cool guests.
Right.
Joy Reid, welcome to I've Had It.
Thank you so much. Can I just please do a fuck off? I'm like, it's in my spirit.
Please,
so much.
do it.
Fuck off!
Yes!
That's so good.
I love it.
Love
That
it.
was a good one.
You did good.
Thank you. Well, you know, I've been watching. I love your podcast.
Thank you.
And so it was like, I was like, I cannot get here without having to do a fuck off. I mean, come on.
You have to do a fuck off. Okay, so Joy, I have a couple of amends I have to make to you. Okay, so you and Jim Acosta and Don Lemon, the No Kings March Day, had texted me, hey, will you stream with us? And I was like, oh yeah, sure. I'll be the reporter on the street. Problem with this is I'm not a reporter. I'm a total Ricky, right? So I'm marching and we're being like, you know, this is what democracy looks like. And so I zoom into you guys and all you can hear all the people around, and Dawn is messaging me like, did you bring earphones? Can you not hear us? Can you turn off, like the echoing? Had no idea. Then for the Zoran Mamdani.
Listen.
Okay, so listener, Joy's producer called me and she's like, hey, can you come on the night of Zoran's victory? I said, I'm actually going to be at the party.
Yeah.
She said, will you live report from there? And I was like, yes. And you think I would have learned my
That's what I was
lesson
just getting ready to say.
from the No Kings rally? I would have brought earphones.
Sure.
And so I just want you to know that the third time is going to be the charm. Okay?
Ask again.
This is not going to be a trifecta failure. I am going to, the next time you ask me to deliver for you, I'm going to be Jennifer Welch reporting from the streets of Manhattan.
I love it.
I'm going to have my AirPods.
Okay.
I'm going to be all set, and I'm not going to dick anyone over.
I love it.
So
I
my
love
apologies.
it.
I'm a Ricky.
I know, and the thing that's so interesting is on the Zoran Mamdani one, our producer Nithikan, who lives in New York, I was like, you should just show up and go to it, right? Because this is going to be a moment. She's a Muslim woman. I'm like, this is like an emotional thing for her. She wrote a piece for the Substack about it. I'm like, you should just show up because it was already full. We couldn't get a pass to get in. But now kicking myself, I'm like, and I've been doing this for so long, on the journalism side, the lesson is always just do it, right? And so next time, look, Zoran Mamdani, when you get inaugurated, just know that I'm going to have somebody right there and they're getting in. And then with you, we literally ended the live 15 minutes too early because, once the doors open, you didn't have your stuff, but then we weren't ready either because we went off. We literally just went off like 15 minutes before. So I'm like, we
Next time
Jennifer.
you need to be there. There were a lot of podcasters and mainstream news and our type of news there in the press. So next time we just got to
show up.
You just got to, and I'll be
ready.
Woman on the street.
I am ready.
If you're asked.
Joy, I know.
You will be asked.
I am going to deliver next time. Okay, Joy Reid, what have you had it with?
Oh my God, where do I begin? I mean, the first thing I have had it with, and I hate to always start with my own people, but I've had it with the Democrats caving. I've had it with the Democrats soft peddling this autocracy. You know, I've been a Democrat since I was old enough to vote. The first person, I'm gonna age myself. My first vote was a primary vote for Jesse Jackson in 1988. I was so excited, and then I had to vote for the guy with the big old helmet on his head. I had to do it, you know, whatever, Dukakis, right? So that was my first presidential vote. I had no choice because that's what
Geraldine
I was left with.
Ferraro.
Yeah.
And Geraldine Ferraro,
Yeah.
that was the first presidential vote because I didn't get Jackson. But my problem with the party has always been they have good intentions.
Mm-hmm.
They care about people, but they are afraid to use power.
Agree.
And they seem to be allergic to using power. Whereas Republicans don't care about anyone.
No.
But they also understand power and they understand how to use it and leverage it. And it frustrates me to be on the side that refuses to fight in the way you need to in an autocracy. So I've had it with that. I want a Mamdani style
Yes.
Democratic Party.
Let me ask you both this. So I read today that AOC and Zoran said that they don't think anybody should primary Hakeem because they don't think the party after these victories should have this type of infighting. And I'm not a very rigid person in my beliefs. I'm open-minded to how can we win? What's going to help us beat these fuckers, beat these fascists? I'm open-minded about all of that. So I'm curious about both of your feedback on that because my thinking about Hakeem is that he hasn't been the most effective minority leader at all, and the AIPAC situation is so blaring. What's your take on that?
The AIPAC situation is, you know, I went to a meeting of CBC members, and this was in Mississippi, and I didn't get any applause for it, but I told them from the stage, you all have to divorce yourself from AIPAC. You have to divorce AIPAC. Like that divorce needs to happen now. Because as long as AIPAC money is flowing into your coffers, you're never going to be truly free to tell the truth about our foreign policy. People, it's not going to ever be acceptable, even to MAGA people, to spend American tax dollars for a genocide.
Right.
It's just not acceptable with
Right.
Bibi Netanyahu there. So the AIPAC thing is a big problem for me.
Right.
I like Hakeem Jeffries as a person.
I do too.
He's definitely a more effective leader than Schumer.
That's
no
what I was going to say.
question.
By far, right?
He whipped he can
He
whip.
can keep his caucus together.
He can whip.
Schumer, no.
Yeah.
And I think unlike Schumer, he's actually, and I don't mean this in a condescending way, he's teachable. Like, I think you can work with him. You
Move
can
him.
get him to where he needs to be. And the challenge with a House leader as opposed to a Senate leader, it's a little more complicated. It's why even when people were like, we need to replace Pelosi with a younger person, I wasn't for it. Because I'm like, a House leader is somewhat different. It's a much bigger caucus.
Right.
It's very much dependent on your ability to fundraise for other people and to know everything about their lives in order to be able to know, like, who's got a grandkid coming and what do they need in order to get to where they need to be. To whip those votes is something you couldn't just put a green new person
Right.
and have them be the speaker as much as we would like them. So he's been set up for that position for so long that I feel like it would be very difficult to replace him with somebody who would be as effective. I don't know that that's true.
But
I'm
you,
not
so you
as
kind
eager.
of agree with that he's our leader and we should focus on moving him, evolving him to
my
the base.
Plan A would be move him. But I'm not against primarying anybody. To be honest with you,
Right.
I'm pro-primary, period. Because
Right.
I think primaries make you stronger, they make you sharper, they make you focus. And if it's going to take a primary to move him, that's another way to move him.
See, that's what my thought is. I kind of want him to be primary just because I want him to understand we are serious about moving the message, moving off AIPAC. We mean it. Chuck Schumer, I would love for him to get an opponent and get beat. But it's
Same.
different. You asked about Hakeem Jeffries.
I agree. And I think a primary would sharpen the mind
I
of
agree.
Hakeem Jeffries. Like, he would understand that people are sick. I hate to say it, but the Democratic Party needs a Tea Party movement.
Yes.
They need a Tea Party
do.
movement. And it's like, it's time to have, the only reason we have an AOC is a primary,
Right.
It's just, it's what has to happen. It's the only reason Charlie Rangel exists is that he literally primaried Adam Clayton Powell III. And people forget that. He got there by primarying a legend.
Right.
So we wouldn't have had him but for a primary. So the only reason we got Cori Bush is she primaried the son of one of the founders of the Congressional Black Caucus.
Right.
And she did that because the people needed change. And so when the people need change, it doesn't, I once had a Black woman who was the mayor of Miami Gardens, Florida, say to me, anybody can primary me because I don't own this seat. This seat belongs to the people. And if you think you can beat me and I'm not doing a good enough job, she welcomed a primary. And that's the kind of politician I like.
I couldn't agree more. Okay. We emailed with you prior to, and one of your grievances, I think, is just something that ourselves and our audience will just sink their teeth in. And it has to do with Scott Jennings. Go off.
Ooh, stop. I just, I had Abby Phillip on the podcast and I had to ask her about him because I think there's a disingenuousness to a lot of Republicanism. All of us who have been in this journalism game for a long time know for a fact that most of the Republicans who serve Donald Trump obediently and live on their knees hate him.
Right.
We know they hate him. We know they don't respect him. We know that they don't believe anything coming out of their mouths. I believe that about Scott Jennings. I don't buy it. His MAGA act is so phony to me because I am old enough to remember when on January 7, 2021, he said Donald Trump was an outrageous sort of outrage upon the dignity of the Constitution. He wrote that down and posted it on CNN. He told us what he thought of Trump then, but then he went on and he says, I voted for him happily. But what kind of a man are you to understand this man trying to overthrow the government and you still live on your knees? There's nothing Donald Trump could do that he would say is too much for him.
Right.
It's
How
disgusting.
does he claim to be this huge patriot? And where, I'm so sick of these pundits that wear the flag pin on their suit. It doesn't make you a bigger patriot, big boy. Correct. It makes you look like a pussy, first and foremost, to me. Because if you were genuinely patriotic, you would be wildly concerned about a man who tried to overthrow the federal government. If you're so concerned about anti-Semitism, this man pardoned a man at January 6th that had on a shirt that said Camp Auschwitz.
Correct.
You don't get to cherry pick when you care about these things. And I just think the Scott Jennings of the world have done such a disservice to Fox News viewers that think, oh, I'm going to be liberal and watch CNN tonight.
Right.
And then they go over and they're served this jet stream of propaganda and bullshit. And I just cannot imagine, as we sat here, we just criticize Hakeem Jeffries. We just criticize Chuck Schumer. What a puss boy you have to be that every night you sit down at a table and you speak for an audience of one.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's great. Because he wants to run for office. Let's just be clear. He has designs on political office. He knows he needs Donald Trump's support in order to do that, to get the MAGA voters to vote for him. There's a rally, if you Google this rally, look it up on YouTube, y'all, where he is getting the attaboy from Donald Trump, patting him on his head like a puppy. That's why he does what he does every night. Pony. He's his show pony. And it's like, you want to be Trump's bitch. That's what you decided is your brand. That is a gross and disgusting brand. I'm a Democrat. Look how easily and freely we were happy to criticize any Democrat. Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries.
Cory Booker.
I criticized Barack Obama when he was there, and I worked for his campaign.
Yeah.
I worked to get him elected. I didn't see my kids for 12 hours a day to get him elected. And I still felt free to criticize him. We're not in a cult. And the fact that he sits there night after night, knowing I don't believe he believes half of what he says, and he still is willing to do it in order to entertain Trump. It's disgusting. And that is one I've absolutely had it with. And the fact that he is giving the permission structure for other Republicans to pretend that loving Trump the way he says he loves him is patriotism. To me, that is hurting the Republican Party. That part, my father he was not a citizen, but he was a whole Reaganite. The Republican Party he thought existed is dead because of people like Scott Jennings.
Yeah.
If Trump is like a proto-fascist, which he is, and you're down with it, then you're essentially saying you're going to align the former party of Lincoln with fascism. Then, there's no reason for me to respect you.
Well, and they call themselves patriots while they do that. That's one thing that goes all through me is, oh, I'm such a patriot. Sean Duffy was like, I'm worried about air traffic controllers being patriotic. I'm like, bitch, please, I'm worried about lives. And do not tell me when you do not believe in the Constitution or the law that you're a patriot, because that makes you an asshole, not a patriot.
That's right.
So that drives me crazy. But we talk about on this all the time, that people get worse when they're in Donald Trump's orbit. So you said you think Scott Jennings wants to run for office and he wants Trump's endorsement. Is that what corrupts these people, their moral collapse? Is it the proximity to power? Is it transactional? I mean, in your experience and from your bird's eye view, what What does that look like?
I mean, when I did my Trump book, I interviewed a lot of people around Donald Trump that had known him for a long, and they said that he has this power to corrupt almost anyone in his presence. His solicitousness of you in person, he tries to act like a tough guy, but in person, he's very solicitous of people. He flatters them and expects flattery in return. And I think that there's a combination. If you listen to people like Mitt Romney and then some people that I've spoken to about Trump, there's a combination of hope and fear. The hope is that Donald Trump can transfer the power he has, the cult-like hold on the base, onto you. Mm-hmm. So if I'm a Republican politician, I glom onto Trump hoping that cult-like following will vote for me and keep me in office. That's the hope part, that you can get, and that also maybe some of the riches will fall on you. They're all over there trading crypto. They're all over there committing crimes.
Totally.
They're stealing. I mean,
Blowing
stop the steal.
Bubba.
Right?
Stop the steal every day.
They're stealing. And so they're like, ooh, we can rain some of this money down on me. The fear is, and a lot of politicians have said this on and off the record, the fear is that if you don't obey him, his cult will try to kill you. And there are a lot of people who claimed and told Mitt Romney this, and then Mitt Romney snitched on them and said people wanted to vote to impeach, but they were afraid that they'd be assassinated by Trump supporters, because MAGA supporters are armed to the teeth.
Right.
They are rabid in their support of him, and it's a religion. And so they will commit jihad for Trump. And so a lot of it is fear, and the hope and the fear, I think, are what make people, debase themselves for him.
Okay, let's talk about this, because Pumps and I have been really studying this, and we had Professor Ruth Ben-Ghiat on the podcast to teach us about, authoritarians, autocrats, dictators. So they project this strength, and they have to emit this toxic masculinity. When the dictator becomes frail, the cult falls apart. Let's just talk about kanks. We've got, concealer on the hands because they're bruised out the wazoo. We've got cankles as wide as the Mississippi. We've got bragging about taking animal identification tests. He's blowing Bubba. He's trying to, show pictures of his wife holding hands. I mean, he is a shit show. I don't know if you heard the audio of him blaring, this old queen, blaring Phantom of the Opera from the White House. Did you see that?
Listen, when it's not that, it's YMCA.
Right,
yes. On you, or are we?
So,
what are we talking about here?
With the Scott Jennings just pining for his endorsement, I feel like, and maybe I'm being an optimist, and maybe this is so stupid of me to say this, but I feel like the worm is turning. I feel like there were fissures in the MAGA movement a couple months ago that have turned into full-blown cracks, and I think at some point, Trump's endorsement, especially when you look at how we kicked every motherfucker's ass a couple weeks ago, is going to be your nail in your political coffin. And what are your thoughts on that? And then what happens to a Scott Jennings career, a Moses Mike Grinder Johnson's career, when they are rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic with this MFer?
It's an excellent question, because if you think about the dictator in decline, right? The same thing kind of is happening in Russia, where there's all of these stories that Putin is physically declining, that he's sick, that he's ill. And that's when you started to see a Navalny start to really take hold, because those little fissures, when you're not clear, because there's no succession plan for a dictator. They intend to be in office forever, right? They don't intend to have anyone succeed them, which is why Trump can't even say Vance is his successor. No one is his successor. He's 2028, he's 2032, he's forever. But, in the case of Putin, his physical decline is when there's a weakness that lets the wannabes start to come in and try to seize power. So he has to constantly project strength, because they all fear assassination. They all fear they're going to end up like Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein was strong until he was weak, right? And once you start to physically decline, or you lose your patrons, or you lose your power, you end up usually, the way Ceausescu ended up. So they all are afraid. They're also constantly fearful when you're a dictator. So Donald Trump, the other day, he said he wasn't sure what they MRI.
Yes.
Right.
I thought that was fishy.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to sometimes know where he is.
Right.
Did y'all see the McDonald's speech? He's in front
my
of all
God,
the
it was
McDonald's.
That was the
Insanity.
biggest shit show I've ever seen in my life.
I don't understand how people watch that on TV, like at Fox, and are like, oh yeah.
Well, they edit it. See, that's the other thing, is Fox sane washes him. They will never, during the campaign, he did all these round tables. Remember, he did these round tables with a lot of black people at them.
Yes.
Those things were so, when you watch the raw footage, you're like, oh my God, he's incoherent. But they chop it up the way 60 Minutes did with that interview with Nora. They chop it up, and then they use voiceover and stuff. The media is covering up one of the greatest scandals. Biden, he was old and feeble.
Right.
Trump, My godmother is starting to get a touch of dementia. He seems to me to have a touch of something's happening up here.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't always seem to be fully coherent or know where he is. And that is the opening when the Civil War, which I think is already beginning, is going to escalate. Who gets to inherit MAGA? Is it J.D. Vance, the couch boy who's got the brown wife who's a Hindu? MAGA's not going to want that.
Right. He will not defend his wife.
Or is it?
That's why.
Or is it Marjorie Taylor Greene,
or Tucker
who's
Carlson?
doing exactly what Trump did?
Oh my God.
She is coming out criticizing the status quo. She's criticizing other Republicans.
Come on.
She's talking about Israel. She's talking about America first.
Yes.
And if she is rebranding and it is real, we will know that if she doesn't throw one marginalized group under the bus. But I haven't heard her do that. She's still a cherry picker.
That's right.
But she is doing exactly what Trump did in 2015.
That's right.
She's coming out, beating up on Republicans, beating up on the status quo, saying you were lied to, you were conned, I got sucked into QAnon too. Her political savviness is off the charts. But who has she been hanging out with? Steve Bannon.
Come on.
Who was Trump's advisor back then? Bannon.
And this is
and
why
he loves populism.
Yes, he does. And so it's interesting. Oh, we're so on the same page. When she gave that interview to Dana Bash, where Dana Bash says, are you doing this because Donald Trump basically said you're never going to be able to win statewide in Georgia? Because there's been a rumor for a minute that we've been hearing in the weeds that she wanted to run for either governor or Senate, and that's why she's rebranding herself. Because it's definitely a rebrand, right? She's standing by the women.
For sure.
Standing by the Epstein victims. She's talking about cost and affordability, all the things Trump used to talk about, right? And I said to myself when I watched that interview, that lady's not running for governor or Senate. She's running for president.
Absolutely.
Right? She thinks she can inherit the MAGA crown. This is Game of Thrones. And because the dictator is he's the kid king in Game of Thrones that was like torturing people. He's Joffrey Baratheon. And Joffrey is weak and on his way to going where, right? And they can see that Joffrey is weak. And the hand of the king, I think, is the Supreme Court. They think they can control him. And they feel like we want a dictator, but we feel we can control him. Trump is now little daffy, and so everyone's charging for the crown. Vance has a problem in that the base of MAGA is fundamentally racist. And I know people don't like it when you say it, but it's the emergence from the Tea Party to MAGA.
Yeah.
Tea Party, when you finally did the actual data, PRRI and others, the thing that most motivated them was race and hatred of non-white immigrants. What most motivates MAGA? Hatred of non-white immigrants. They're obsessed with non-white immigrants and undocumented people. They use the term illegals, which is just the N-word for brown people.
100%.
If you want to say the N-word and it's about brown people, you say illegals. I'm sorry I said it again. That is me saying the N-word about that is what it is, right? And that's what motivates them. So they can't have the successor to MAGA be the guy with the brown Hindu wife. They're also Christian nationalists. That ain't gonna work. That's why he's throwing his wife under the bus. Poor Usha. Or she's in on it, right? And she's
playing slap and tickle with Erica Kirk's the weirdest shit I've ever seen.
Yeah,
she's like in her Tammy Faye era.
Okay. Holding on the back of his head and rubbing on his head.
Some weird shit.
Baby. Don't do that to Jason. I'm gonna start thinking something's going on. Why are you holding the back of his head? I'm like, you not doing that right thing. You're supposed to be a widow. You in leather pants?
It is.
That's not widow wear.
Could you imagine if...
Wouldn't it be the most perfect fairy tale, MAGA fairy tale?
Yeah.
If he finally sees the light that he needs a white queen instead of this brown Hindu? I mean, I'm not saying that's happening.
Right.
Or maybe that Usha's not even in on it. Maybe she's whatever. But that's one entrant. Another entrant is frankly Donald Trump Jr. If he can, keep it together, because he's got the name.
Yeah.
He's the son.
Yeah.
Maybe it's him, right?
Right.
And then there's other entrants. Bannon can't do it because he's sloppy and look a hot mess, and everybody's like an ugly man. You know what I mean? He's hideous. That's not gonna be him. So it's like, well, who could it be? Charlie Kirk was said to be one of the contestants to inherit the throne. Well, he's gone. And then the other person there are two other people who I think are potential inheritors that we don't talk about as much because neither of them are politicians. One of them is Tucker Carlson.
Yeah,
who has been positioning himself for a long time.
When he's not getting attacked by demons.
In his sleep.
That's fucking crazy now.
Come on now.
Let me ask.
He says it out loud. Sorry.
But honestly, if you were Beelzebub or a demon, who best to get into bed with?
I want to tell you somebody that's on my watch list.
And the other one is Nick Fuentes, but go on.
Yes, but let me tell you who's on my watch list that nobody's talking about right now, and I can see this very clearly happening. Nikki Haley. She has stayed quiet. She's sitting over there. She had a pretty good primary, and she's going to resurrect and say, we need to get back to our family values, Republican roots. We need to channel Reagan. We got so far away from our party. And I can totally see her positioning. She's staying quiet right now, letting it all go.
She's sitting on boards making money.
But she has always wanted that. And she was a pretty good candidate. Not my cup of tea, but as far as...
She seemed sane.
Yes, exactly. And I can see her claiming to be the Republican savior. So let's put her on the watch list.
We'll put her on the watch list. But the other person I would say is Nick Fuentes, who I actually think is the true inheritor of MAGA, to be honest, because he's openly racist. He's not hiding it. He's not phony. He's like, I'm racist. I'm against the blacks. I'm against the Jews. Yeah. He just says it straight. He's, on the right side when it comes to the issues of genocide, and everyone has run to that side, right? But he is an evil version, of an even more evil version of Tucker. He's a younger, more evil Tucker. And I think he actually speaks to the base the way Trump spoke to the base, but he does it unadulterated because he doesn't have to pretend to be political. And so I think they're trying to fight him because I think a lot of them understand that he might actually be the person running for that crown.
And the Heritage Foundation is fine with that. The Heritage Foundation has been playing this long game long before Trump came in. And they gave it its blessing when Tucker sat down with Nick. But did you see this video of Nick Fuentes? Sometimes if you're on your algorithm, you'll have like a Candace show up because she says something anti-Israel or anti-Netanyahu, and then a Tucker will show up or Nick will show up because even assholes have moments of clarity, right? So I saw this in my algorithm, this video of Nick Fuentes, you guys, and he says, it's crazy. With anti-Semitism, like I can say a bunch of racist stuff about Muslims. I can say a bunch of racist stuff about black people. I can say a bunch of racist stuff about immigrants. Nobody in MAGA gets mad at me. But if I say something about Israel, he's lecturing them on the most racist neo-Nazi on the planet about how they do not connect to universal human rights. They're getting lectured by Nick Fuentes on how crazy indoctrinated they are about this Israel thing and what moral blinders they have on about it. But I can totally see Nick Fuentes too. And here's the thing. Pumps and I talk about this a lot. There's kind of degrees of Republicans. There are the cult, the people that, triple Trump, they got the Trump flags, Trump nuts on the truck, the whole nine. And then you've got country club Republicans, which we grew up around, and especially in a red state, white folks, upper middle
Scott
class
Jennings.
to upper class. Exactly. And they're the most insidious because the country club Republicans that we know, they're cultured enough and educated enough that if they were to come spend a weekend in New York and somebody said, do you like Trump? They'd be like, oh, God, no. But they delightfully, very quietly, and most insidiously went and voted for him because their racism is just right under the surface. But if they want to hang out with a black friend or a gay friend, they can do it. And they're the most dangerous. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that part of the electorate. The cult, I think, they're so malleable, but that's going to be an interesting thing. This episode of I've Had It is brought to you by Booking.com. Pumps, I've got to say, if you're looking to grow your vacation rental business, this is the place to be. Booking.com is one of the most downloaded travel apps in the entire world, and for good reason. Since 2010, they've helped over 1.8 billion vacation rental guests find places to stay. That's billion with a B. But here's the thing. Most vacation rentals don't even realize they can list their properties on Booking.com. And if you're not on the platform, your rental is basically invisible to millions of Booking.com travelers worldwide.
And nearly half of the hosts get their first booking within a week.
So listener, if your vacation rental isn't listed on Booking.com, it could be invisible to millions of travelers searching the platform. Don't miss out on consistent bookings and global reach. Head over to Booking.com and start your listing today. Get seen. Get booked on Booking.com. Listener, if your cat could write a letter to Santa, Pretty Litter would be at the top of their list. And why is this? Because nothing, and I mean nothing, listener, says I love you like a fresher, cleaner,
litter box. This season, give your cat the gift of comfort and yourself the gift of easy cleanup, odor control, and peace of mind. Pretty Litter is soft on their paws, easy to maintain, and it even helps you keep an eye on their health. It's like wrapping up care, comfort, and convenience in one box. My cat loves the Pretty Litter. I like the fact that it is easy to store, easy to use, contains odor, and will change color if something is wrong with my cat's urine. So listener, right now, try your first bag for just $14.99 and get a free cat toy at prettylitter.com/hadit. That's prettylitter.com/hadit to get your first bag for just $14.99. prettylitter.com/hadit. Pretty Litter cannot detect every feline health issue or prevent or diagnose diseases. A diagnosis can only come from a licensed veterinarian. Terms and conditions apply. See site for details. Pumps, I've always had this tortured relationship with makeup. I really don't like wearing a lot. I cannot stand that like heavy caked on look. I think it ages people, but we're on camera all of the time and I am aging, and a little cover up and concealer here or there will help. And that's why I'm so happy that you introduced me to Jones Road Beauty. I am obsessed with their products.
The reason I love Jones Road Beauty is it looks and feels natural. It's like you're not even wearing makeup. And the Miracle Balm is the ultimate makeup skincare hybrid product that gives a natural glow. It can be used for tint, blush, bronzer, highlight, or on the lips. It will replace almost every product in your makeup bag.
Listener, this holiday season, simplify your routine with makeup that's clean, strategic, and multifunctional. From November 18th to December 1st, Jones Road is doing their first ever Black Friday sale. Go to jonesroadbeauty.com to get up to 20% off site-wide. That's jonesroadbeauty.com for up to 20% off your entire order. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you.
And, if you think about it, just having done this Medgar Evers book recently, when you're in Mississippi and you're sort of studying the way it worked, there was always the Klan, which was the lowbrow racists who basically were allowed to do the purge, the violent underclass of whites. These were lower working class whites who were running the store that the Black person shopped in, the people that owned the store that Emmett Till went in and then they ended up killing him. Those people had a shop, but they sold to Black people. So they were considered lower class. But what they got in exchange for being, on the side of the high class racists at the top, they got to do the purge. They could kill any Black person they wanted with impunity. They could murder, rape, run wild through the Black community, and nothing would ever happen to them. They could kill at will. That was the people who were in the Klan. Some of them were cops, they were sheriffs, they were murderous. And then there were the White Citizens Council. They had the exact same ideology. They had the same beliefs, but they had on a suit and tie, and they owned the shops where white people shopped. They owned the banks, they owned the insurance companies, and they wanted the same outcomes, which is a massive underclass that had to work for low wages. Because at the end of the day, everything, even racism, is all about the Benjamins. Right. Slavery, Jim Crow, it was all about having a massive underclass of low wage labor that could never rise, could never ask for rights, could never be unionized, and had no choice but to work for you for nothing.
That structure still exists.
And that is the same structure.
That is crazy because I've just never heard it put to me in such historical, factual ways. But she and I talk about it all the time, the layers of racism. And then you get to what I call country club Republicans that are polite, cultured racists. And they know when they can flip it on and when they can flip it off. And that's exactly what you describe. And it's insane that those structures are still so...
And they still want the same thing.
Right.
Right? I mean, what the elite in this country have always wanted was what slavery gave them in the first place, right? Which is perfect capitalism. Low cost of labor, in that case, zero cost of labor, and high unlimited profits without taxation. And that is it. There isn't anything more complicated to conservatism. They want low-cost labor, and they want unlimited profit without taxation. How you get there is the question. And the easiest way that I think the right has figured how you get there is that you keep the big class of people who could really fight you because they have the numbers, and I mean white people. You keep them on your side while giving them nothing economically. You offer them nothing. But what you offer them is whiteness. You say you get to be white, which means you're better than the blacks. You get nothing else. You get no money. We'll take your farms. Tariffs will destroy your lives. Everything gets destroyed. But you stay with us because we're white. You're white and we're white. And that's what we have in common. But in fact, you had people in the past like Fred Hampton that were trying, and King at the end, who were saying to white working class, white poor folks, saying, hey, you know what we have in common? We're broke.
Right.
You're broke. The
Right.
Latinos are broke. Them Asians in Chinatown are broke. What if we all got together? That's the most dangerous kind of politics. It's what Mamdani is doing. If you can get to people and say, put aside the white thing for just a hot second and think about what you have. You had a 400-year head start
Right.
on these blacks and you still poor.
Yeah.
Make that make sense to yourself.
Yeah.
And maybe think about a different kind of politics where you really do vote your pocketbook, not your color.
Right.
If that ever happened, no Republican would win ever again. And they know that. So they keep the racism going. They keep the hate going. It's very useful. And so the country club types love racism.
Oh,
They
yeah.
just don't want to be tarred with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're
It's
polite.
That is just, all of that is so true. And when you think about how brilliant and diabolical Republican long-term game has been in attacking blue cities where multiculturalism really exists, you can't name a big red city. There isn't one. So when we all live around each other and we have to cooperate, and your neighbor could be black or speak a different skin color or maybe came here from a different country, it erodes that whiteness that you feel in suburbia and cookie cutter, like, you know, where you live. I mean, it's a very white, homogenized place. And when you get into big cities, you can see how effective they've been, which pisses me off about Democrats. Let's be on Democrats a second. As women who've lived in red states, our state, 50th in education, 50th place for women to live, 49th in education. I can go on and on. It's a bottom 5 state. Mm-hmm. And they have had a MAGA supermajority for 25 plus years. The last time we had a Democratic governor, I think, was 2011. Education was ranked 14. 14. Mm-hmm. Since they went all MAGA, all in, all Republican, it's dropped to 50th. And I think Democrats have got to do a better job attacking the fact-based evidence about how these people have been lied to, and politicians have done the grossest, most disgusting thing imaginable, use their faith to get them to become worse people and drive holes in their communities. And
100%.
Democrats have not messaged that well.
Not only not messaged, but when's the last time a Democrat was in Oklahoma or Mississippi or Tennessee? Or when is the last time they spent real money to try to win races in these states? They're absent without official leave in the whole South. And Democrats, first of all, they have to get better at just showing up. When's the last time Democrats went into the hills of West Virginia and said to those poor people, most of whom don't vote, by the way. Poor white people don't vote. Poor people don't vote. Poor white people, poor brown, they don't vote. They generally just sort of let it happen, right? But if you went into Bishop William Barber goes into the hills of West Virginia. Those people want the same thing that we sitting around this table want. They want a decent life. They want to be able to feed their kids. They want to be able to have a decent home that they can't lose. They don't want to, go broke because they need health care. They would like to go to a doctor every so often, go to a dentist. They would like normal things. They don't have them. And so, but they're left out there not just by Republicans who couldn't give a shit about them. As long as they stay racist and stay angry at gay people and the trans people they'll never meet, they're happy with them. Mm-hmm. Democrats just don't go there at all. They just don't go there at all.
But when they do, look at Andy Beshear.
Right.
Look at what happens. And I think knowing the psychology of the electorate in a very religious state, and Pumps and I can speak to this, and Andy Beshear, I'm an atheist, so when politicians start talking about religion, I'm always just like, shut up. It doesn't matter what the religion is.
Right.
Jewish, Muslim, Christian, I don't want to hear it. I'm a secularist. But we live in a very religious first world country. And so when you hear Andy Beshear, and we had him on the podcast, and he talks about his faith and that it calls on him to not judge people and to show compassion and meet the marginalized and help strengthen them. And he refused to throw trans people under the bus, which would be such an easy, trashy thing to do that you hear Democrats flirting with, which I think is a horrible idea. But when he went and spoke to them, they voted for him. And this is fascinating. So in Oklahoma, if you poll everybody, they're all Republican, right? Oklahoma City's 50-50, but the state at large. But when you poll the people of Oklahoma individually, are you for gun control? Overwhelming numbers say yes. Are you for a woman's right to choose? Majority say yes. We took the vote to the people of Oklahoma. Red, Ryan Walters, dump truck extraordinaire Oklahoma. Do you want to legalize marijuana? This is a few years ago. They legalized it. So it's crazy to me that the Democratic Party can say, okay, line item issues, these people are progressive, but they always vote big R. And it's just such a miss. It is such a miss that the Democrats don't have a 50-state strategy.
I agree. And they don't. And it's a brand problem.
Yeah.
Right. It's the same way in the South. Republican was a dirty word for a long, long time. And just saying you're a Republican was enough for people to just keep voting Democratic when the parties were flipped. And so the brand is the issue in a lot of these red states, because they view the brand as associated, to your point, with these cultural things, with gay marriage and with trans, and so that's it. They don't
Pronouns,
right? They're like
black people,
right? Brown immigrant. They're just like, that's that brand, and so that people won't even hear you if you're saying you're a Democrat. Which is why a lot of the successful candidates go in and they just talk about their values, or they're not a Democrat. They're an independent. They're working families, etc. But I think the Democrats, the first thing they have to do is they have to actually get in these states and start to organize. Like Louisiana, I think, is a perfect example. It has one of the largest black populations in the entire country, and yet you can elect a Democrat statewide in Michigan that's only 12% black. Louisiana is like almost like 25% black, and you can't elect a Democrat there. It's because but you can, right? They had a Democratic governor for the hot moment, and they actually got Obamacare. For that moment that they had a Democratic governor, John Bel Edwards, for that 4 years, that precious 4 years, they came up off of, they used to be almost down where Oklahoma is in education. They lifted. They are the carceral state of the country, right? They are the biggest incarcerator of humans in America, Louisiana. They actually reduced their level of incarceration and child incarceration. They started to come back. But then along came this new governor, who's basically Satan, and ran on a harsh pro-MAGA and took all of those wonderful benefits away. If you think about Andy Beshear, what did Andy Beshear have when he came calling? Yes, he talked about his faith, but he also had that daddy.
Right.
Because what the daddy did is he did what John Bel Edwards did in Louisiana. He brought them health care. And he was smart enough to say, the brand Obamacare hurts me. I'm going to call that thing Connect. It's called Connect. You want health care? You want Connect? They're like, yeah. Then this is the dad. The dad gets Connect in under another name, not Affordable Care Act, not Obamacare, Connect. Then he terms out. He does his 2 terms. The next guy who runs saying, I vow to end Obamacare. Yeah, all right. He gets in. Then he tries to take Connect.
Right.
And people went, hold on now. I don't like Obamacare. Don't touch my Connect.
Right.
And people didn't make it. At the time, I was working at thegrio.com. I was managing editor of The Grio. We sent PBJ, Perry Bacon Jr., who's from, he's actually from Kentucky. He goes down there and he goes back to his hometown and he's asking people, man on the street, do you like Obamacare? And they go, hate it. Do you like Connect? Love it. Do you know that they're the same thing? No, it's not. They were just deny it, right? And then so other journalists started doing the same thing. People just didn't know they were the same thing. But when they figured out those were the same thing, they ran that man out so quick and put the son in. They said, I want that Beshear boy in there, because the dad, they can remember in their lifetime that the Beshears had their back.
And that government served them. And the
Yes.
same thing happened in the BBB. I can't even call it what it is, but they
Right. Yeah. they changed the
Medicare,
name.
Medicaid in Oklahoma is called Sooner Care.
Yes.
And so in each state, it's called something different. And typically, when you think about FDR, the reason why they had to term limit him is because when government starts working for people, they like it.
That's right.
When you allow laborers to have rights and unions and insurance and pensions, people like it. Like you, I'm sure you have friends from Europe, these friends that live in Paris, and they're so proud that women get 1 year off entirely to stay at home with their child. They're very proud of the retirement age. And recently they tried to raise it. And, the French are always on strike.
They were in the streets.
Right. But they take pride in these, and it's never branded as a mooch or, a parasite. And I just think we need to do such a lot of messaging, the Democrats, while, messing with the politicians we have. Chuckles out. Hakeem, you're on watch.
Yeah, probation.
Yes, but I agree that I can get behind him if he can move some and acknowledge where the base is heading. But at the same time, the Democrats have got to start messaging to people in all of these flyover states and all of MAGA land, and some of this MAGA land are in blue states. You have been lied to.
That's right.
For decades, long before Trump. You have been lied to. Look how rich Elon Musk is. Look at how rich Jeff Bezos is. And they're so entitled, they think that you should pay a higher percentage of your income than they should.
Yeah. Right. And it's diabolical to call something big and beautiful when its only purpose is to make a temporary tax cut for the super rich permanent.
Right.
And make the temporary subsidies for regular people temporary. And to keep them temporary forever. That's what that bill did. And in order to try to, Democrats are bad at storytelling.
Yes.
What they should have been saying is what this bill was doing is in order to gut $4.1 trillion, all our grandchildren's grandchildren are going to have to be paying this debt, right? $4.1 trillion for mostly rich people. To pay for that, they started with Doge. They said, we got to find some money. We can't make this be $4 trillion. Let's try to find $2 trillion by cutting out waste, fraud, and abuse. Doge goes in there, slashes away at the government. They get rid of USAID. They fire all these people. All these air traffic controllers are leaving. They're making everyone take buyouts. They end up with like $100 billion in savings.
Right.
All of that destruction got them like $100 billion. They didn't get close to even $1 trillion. So they're like, well, we got to find some money. You can't touch Social Security. That's $5 trillion. You can't touch that. The old people be in the streets. Where can we get $1 trillion? Oh, Medicaid. Always go to the poor. They went and they ate almost $1 trillion, $800 billion. They scooped out of Medicaid to pay for that tax cut. So people need to understand when these Democrats were supposedly fighting for a hot minute, they were fighting for them to not take what little was left. They took almost $1 trillion out of your Medicaid. Hospitals were already going to close because of that bill that they then diabolically called big and beautiful. To say it was beautiful to give the rich the biggest tax cut in history. And it was beautiful to take $800 billion from the poor who needed health care, to destroy rural hospitals. They're going to destroy hospitals in New York. New York people are going to still go to the hospital. But in Oklahoma, Mississippi, Louisiana, Tennessee, Arkansas, y'all are screwed. Y'all are good and fucked because of that bill. And now if you had Obamacare, you double fucked.
Yeah.
Because now not only will you not be able to get health care, everyone in the ER, y'all worried about undocumented people? You know where they're going to get their health care? In the ER. And you know who pays for that? You.
Right. Exactly.
So you're triple fucked.
Yeah.
Because of that bill. And they were fighting to hang on to that last little $0.3 trillion, $300 billion would have made that thing extended. That's nothing compared to the tax cut. But Democrats didn't say that. They just said things that didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
And then they gave in anyway. And now people are going to basically lose their health care because it's going to be too expensive. It's really pathetic.
Listener, the hot book of the summer. Oops, I have it the wrong way. Take two. Listener, the hot book of the summer is now the cool book of the fall. It is, in Trump's America, I can tell you with absolute certainty, the best book that has ever been written. And believe me, a lot of people are talking about it.
Everybody's talking about it.
Everybody's talking about it. It took us one day to write it.
Because we're
on day one.
Because we took a cognitive test and it was book, write, done.
All right. Anyway, please buy our book. It's a great way to support us. It is a really fun read for the fall. Curl up with your pumpkin spice lattes and just enjoy living the American dream in dipshit Trump's America. This ad is brought to you by Vive Healthcare, the makers of Apertude, Cabo Tegravir.
You never skip your SPF and you carry hand sanitizer like an accessory, but What are you doing for HIV prevention? One way to help protect yourself from HIV is Apretude, a prescription medicine used to reduce the risk of getting HIV in adults and adolescents weighing at least 77 pounds.
You must be HIV negative to receive Apretude and get tested before each injection. If you think you were exposed to HIV or have flu-like symptoms, tell your doctor right away. More HIV testing may be needed. Apretude does not prevent other sexually transmitted infections. Practice safer sex to reduce your risk. Get Apretude as scheduled. Missing doses increases your HIV risk. Don't take Apretude if allergic to it or taking certain medicines that may interact. Tell your doctor about your medical conditions, liver problems, and mental health. Serious side effects include allergic reactions or rash, liver problems, and depression. If these occur, get medical help right away. The most common side effect is injection site reaction. Bring your A game and talk to your doctor. Learn more at apretude.com or call 1-888-240-0340. This episode of I've Had It is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states.
Okay, Joy, we're going to play a game with you called Had It or Hit It.
Oh my God. Welcome to Had It or Hit It. I would hit it.
Had it.
Had it. I hit it every day, sometimes twice a day.
Had it or hit it, the term following guest.
Had it. It's like my pet peeve. Ever since Starbucks, which is on the BDS list, I don't go there anyway, but when I used to go to Starbucks, baby, when they say following guest, it drives me crazy. And I try to not be like a grammar Nazi anymore. I'm like, let me not try to correct people's grammar. But following guest doesn't mean anything. If you have a list of people, a list of 5 people, and it says, will the following guest, Pumps, please come forward? Because I knew that she was there. Will the following guest, Jennifer, please come forward? That's how you use following guest. If you just say following guest and you don't even know who the people are, it doesn't mean anything. Just say next. Just say next. I know it sounds rude to you, but that's the correct grammar. I hate following guest. It makes me want to, it makes me cringe in my spirit. I get so angry that it's like, it's actually unnatural how angry I get when I hear following guest.
Rage.
Yeah.
Just say next. Had it.
Okay, had it or hit it, tech bros.
Had it. Had it. They're surveilling us and they're weird. Have you ever heard Peter Thiel talk?
Oh my
my
God.
God.
It's fucking nuts.
What is happening?
What's
wrong
his
with
side
him?
hustle about the rapture?
The Antichrist crap.
The Antichrist. What the fuck is that?
I think he's telling us he's the Antichrist.
He looks like it. He's changed his whole look, everything. I mean, it's nuts. And people don't know who he is. I was with some girlfriends and one of them's like, I don't know who that is. And we were all like, you have to get on your phone. Like, it's so serious. And then they come out and they're like, oh my God.
Oh my, he and Elon Musk, they don't all seem all there mentally, and yet they're in charge of us. They have all our data. Peter Thiel has your data.
Yeah.
Think about, watch him and then know that he and Elon, and then watch him, they have your data. That terrifies me. Had it.
I just can't believe that we just kind of let Elon Musk walk in to the Oval Office with a black eye, tripping his balls off on ketamine while his kid rubbed a booger on the desk, and we just moved on.
He rubbed a booger on the desk.
He rubbed a booger while his daddy was higher than a kite, and everybody's just moved on from it.
And then he told Trump, shut up. You're not my daddy. He in charge.
That was
Okay.
Can you imagine that kid in the store? I said I want Oreo cookies now. And he's okay. It's like he's in charge of the day. What is happening?
Yeah.
No.
It's nuts.
Had it.
All right. Had it or hit it, Ted Cruz 2028.
We were just laughing about that.
Only if he changes his name to Raphael the Canadian. That's who he is. Go by Raphael,
He doesn't get it.
No.
He does not understand how much people hate him.
Everyone hates him. I think his kids hate him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody likes
His
him.
neighbors hate him.
Does his
His
wife?
neighbors hate him.
Everybody.
The
hates him.
the neighbors whistle blew. Pumps had her nose to the ground. When they went to Cancun, Pumps would call me. She goes, the neighbors are talking to the press about how much they
They
hate
hate
him.
it. Right. Like
Hate him.
these are people they thought were friends, that they were going to vacation together. And they hate him so much. They didn't just leak it. They called a reporter at the New York Times.
Oh my
they
God.
hate him.
Even his beard hates him. You could tell it's trying to jump off his face. It's like, get off. I don't even want to be on you. Nasty.
Okay. Had it or hit it, Bubba Gate.
I hit it, baby.
I'm so there.
Baby, I wish it was Bill Clinton because this is the tea I need. I need to know who Bubba is. I want to know what's Trump on his knees. I want to know what's Trump with. I want to know everything. Was he a spitter? I need to know. Because he did that thing with the microphone where he was filleting it.
He acted like he knew what he was doing.
He's talking about
He looked like an expert. He talked about that man
Palmer's
junk.
cock. Yeah.
How did he know what it looked like? I need to know who Trump is with when he's with them. Is Melania jealous or is she glad to not have to deal with it? Is she saying, go ahead, Bubba, you take it because I don't want it? I hit it every day. I need it. I need to know who Bubba is. And if it's not Bill Clinton, is it Bill Clinton brother?
You know, Ghislaine Maxwell's horse name was Bubba.
This is all I want to talk about. I don't even want to talk about nothing else. Just this.
It's crazy.
24/7.
I want it so bad.
So bad.
My daughter, who is comes this weekend, she calls me and she goes, Mom, did Donald Trump give Bill Clinton a blowjob? It's all over TikTok. And I was like, that kind of is the running theory. She's like, and these Christians are all for it? Like, apparently.
How did he hold it with his little hands?
That's why he's probably so good at his mouth, because his hands are so little.
small.
Especially if it was Ghislaine's horse. Those hands are
The horses are quite large. Oh, Donald, you scam.
Oh my gosh. I love it. And you know, here's the thing. In any other world, you know, Mark Epstein came out and said, hey, it wasn't Bill Clinton, but he didn't deny that any of it happened. He also didn't deny the part that Putin had evidence of it.
Right.
So all these national security Republicans for years, the nauseating Scott Jennings with the national security lapel, and I believe in national security. Now it makes perfect sense, Helsinki, the bend over in Alaska,
Listen.
because Putin, we all thought it was the PP tape. It's Kanks blowing Bubba.
I mean, and then I also wonder, what does BB have on him?
Same thing, I bet.
Right? Because if you think about it, Ghislaine Maxwell's father was Mossad related. And then you have Jeffrey Epstein, who a lot of those emails, he's very also pro-Israel. He's also buddies with Ehud Barak. So it's like there's all this Israel connection. There's connection to Kensington, to the crown. And then there's connections to Russia. There could be multiple national security challenges with Trump that multiple countries have dirt on him, dirt on the president of the United States.
Which is why we need the details.
That's right.
Spit or swallow.
we need
Spit
to know
or
if he's
swallow. Who is Bubba? Horse, human.
Horse or a human. Ew.
All right, Joy, last one. Had it or hit it, the United States of America.
I mean, we're kind of like, we're like a ghetto vibe in a trench coat. Or what are we? Are we like a? Oh no, we're like a ghetto in a Gucci belt or something like that.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? It's something like that. America in some ways is kind of it's kind of like, my daughter just came back from Japan, and they have like brand new amazing infrastructure and super fast trains, and it's like we're like a broken down like uncle, like we're an old unk that needs like a rebrand.
We're
you
an
know?
aging porn star.
We're an
Right.
aging porn star, and it's sad for me because I think my parents were immigrants, so they came here with this real hope about America, and they had this kind of rose-colored glasses view of what America was supposed to be. My mother very soon found out about the racism, and she was like, "Oh, this is not what I expected.
Right.
I didn't know that was going to happen." But I think there was this America has the most possibility of any country. It's not built for a caste system, which is a good thing. It's built to actually create an ecumenical, multiracial democracy, but it isn't functioning. So I'm still America. I'm still going to say hit it, but it needs a reboot. It needs an HGTV makeover.
It needs a bikini trim, this porn star.
It needs a whole bikini.
It needs a Brazilian.
Brazilian. Because its pontongkong is hairy and nasty, and it needs to get fixed.
Joy Reid, this was exceeded all expectations. It was totally, we decided we had to do it in person. It exceeded all expectations. We love you. You're welcome on I've Had It anytime. Let's keep fighting the good fight.
Let's do it.
Okay, Pumps, tell them.
We will see you next Tuesday and Thursday.
I'll tell you what I've had it with. Let's hear it. I've had it with that.
Listen up, Patriots, Gatriots, and Natriots. We have a new podcast that has dropped. It's called iHip News. It's Monday through Friday, every day, 15 to 20-minute hot takes on the political landscape of the United States of America, always served with a side of petty grievances.
We are on all the available platforms, Apple, Spotify, Google, whatever you get your podcasts, and YouTube.
Please go rate, subscribe, and review so that we will chart upwards with America's greatest legal mind. Pumps, what does an eagle say?
Caw-caw!
A little bit more enthusiasm.
Caw-caw!
That's it. That's
Caw-caw!
That's the patriotism that this country needs right there.